What's happening? Welcome to the Agent Success Podcast. I'm J.C Agajanian.
I'm Spencer Smock. Today we have a treat for you. DeAnn is a killer. She was on our team when I started here in 2020. Has now grown to have her own team and is just super about pouring into other agents. That's why we were pumped to have her on as a guest. So today we're going to talk about some tips for getting started if you're spinning your tires or to get to the next level. And then I really want to talk about how to mentor other agents. And what I want to start off with is a little bit of your history, DeAnn. Sure. You are SoCal originally, right? You're from SoCal?
Yep, born and
raised. So give us the backstory of yourself real quick, and then kind of how you got into sales. And then how you started in real estate and the family getting to real estate.
That's like an hour-long story. But my grandpa was in real estate. I actually have a plaque from 1977 where he was Realtor of the Year.
Nice.
Super cool. And I always asked him about it, and he kind of discouraged me because he's like, this is a tough business. It's not what you need to do. Go to school, do something else. So I kind of put that on the back burner, and I got married, and I had a bunch of kids, and I ended up getting a divorce. And I was a stay-home mom at the time, actually. And then I found myself, okay, like, what am I going to do to make money here? And I had a friend who was a lender, and he said, you should get your real estate license. You just got to put your face on some signs, and you'll sell houses, and it'll be fun. And
just that easy.
It was so easy. Yeah.
So
and then you're just laughing all the way.
I'm like,
bank,
this
right?
is so great.
Yeah. What year was that all started? And were you from San Diego or just SoCal?
No. So I was actually in Riverside then.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 2008.
Okay, so right midst of the crash.
I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know there was a crash.
You got into the business in 08?
Yes.
Man, that was a rough time to get into the business.
I didn't realize it was a rough time. So actually, I think of it as kind of a blessing because I ended up starting work about 2009, but I didn't know what we were coming out of. I didn't know. So all I knew was what it was. So I just worked hard.
Was it just all short sales for you?
No, absolutely not. I didn't even know about short sales. I didn't know what it was.
You were selling traditional real estate in 08, 9, and 10?
Yeah, I sure was.
I didn't know any of those homes sold.
Yeah.
I thought it was all foreclosures and short sales.
I did. I don't know. My husband at the time was in new construction because I ended up getting remarried, and I sold a lot of land. That's actually how I got to be so big in the community because a lot of people weren't selling land, and I just saw it as an opportunity to put my sign in 50 yards. I probably had 50, 60 listings at a time, not land and residential.
Really?
Yeah. My first year, I was actually Rookie of the Year. I sold 12 houses or 12 transactions, and I didn't know what I was doing. There wasn't mentorship and coaching. There was nothing.
So that was Rookie of the Year with your brokerage?
Yes.
Okay, what brokerage did you start
This
off
was
at?
Sheer Realty. It was...
Mom and pop shop?
Yep, mom and pop shop. And, I mean, they had a lot of agents, and they were the #1 in the area, but it was just a indie brokerage, really.
So you didn't even know that you were killing it during a real tough time. So that kind of built in, like, I bet, so last year, 23 and in the later half of 22 were kind of tough.
They were.
So it probably didn't feel quite like that to you. Like, oh, this is normal. Like, I'm used to fighting for this stuff.
It was different for sure, but I, like I said, I'm thankful that I started during that difficult time because I just realized you always just got to pivot. You always just have to figure out what's working. And long story short, I left the desert 4 years ago and moved to San Diego and had to start all over again. That was literally January 20th of 2020. And you know what happened a couple weeks later? And I had joined the team and all that, and it was like, okay, I thought I was going to be able to call people and meet people and have open houses, and I can do this. I left 28 listings when I left my old brokerage.
Did you really?
I did. I had 28 listings. Left it, referred it all out, and moved here, and then COVID, and it was just dead.
Jeez.
And because, were they still lots of land, or was it more single families?
It was more single families at that time. I had pivoted more.
28 listings.
And you didn't want to try and somehow sync up your closings with your move?
Did.
Riverside County's not that far away.
I actually tried to do it, and it ended up being too much work. I was going to transfer everything, and everyone at the office was working on transferring all this stuff, and it became a mess, and I was like, I'm just going to refer everything out, and it was fine. Yeah, it ended up working out.
Peace of mind, let you kind of get restarted here in San Diego.
I did. I had to start all over, which is why I ended up joining the team. And I believe in teams because of the support that you get. I'd already been a realtor 10 years. After Rookie of the Year, I kept building my business. I was #1 in the community where I lived. I was #1 at my brokerage. So I just kept growing that business. And even though I had done that pretty much on my own, when I came here, I realized the value of support and team mentorship. And so I spent a lot of that time putting systems together and figuring out, okay, I can't do what I did before now. I have to figure out how am I going to build a business all over again.
Yeah.
Because not only did you have a changing market, but you had a different market. It's a geographically
100% different.
So even if the market was the same, you're moving places, and the two markets or areas are acting differently. But now you had both the winds of change in the real estate market nationally changing, plus your geography changing.
Everything. It was all new.
And I did the same thing. So I was independent when I was in Indiana, and I was doing roughly 30 transactions a year. I moved up to Sacramento in 2020, and I was still getting licensed, so I took a listing coordination position and then decided to move to San Diego later half of 2020, and I was like, I'm going to get crushed if I come down here and I don't have some support.
Exactly.
Luckily, got connected with JC, joined the team, worked for JC, and my mind just changed so much about teams. I kind of before was like, I don't need a team. I can do this on my own, whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I don't know if I would find myself either on my own or running a team. It's just not for me. I want somebody else handling all the crap in the back end. So you joined the team January in 2020. How did the transition from doing everything on your own, all the systems were on you, everything was on you. Did you have much support at your mom and pop, or was it
I had moved around. I ended up moving to Realty One Group. It was 100% brokerage. The #1 guy in the whole city approached me to team up with him. He was building a team, and there was 4 of us when we started, and he now has 150 agents, I think, at his place. But so I had moved around. There was I was getting a little more support there, but I was still pretty independent. It was different. But when I joined the team here, I just knew I didn't know what I didn't know, and I was doing a whole different business. The desert is a lot different. It's years behind what we're doing now. So it was great. It was okay, take all that stress off of me of having to do every single thing myself, plus trying to start over a business, plus doing it in the middle of a lockdown. So I was more than happy to join the team, and the support I got was definitely worth it. And I would encourage others to do that if they're moving, and even if they're experienced or not. And I would do it again.
And you've recommended people that you've brought into the industry and said, hey, you know what? That team's actually probably going to be a better fit for you because they're bigger and have this and this than even my own team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I plug people into the team all the time because you have to do what's best for the agent, and that team is set up to hold their hand for the new agents. They have the training, they have the leads, they have a big office where you can go in, and they need that camaraderie and those friends. So I'm more than happy to bring people into the company and put them where they need to go and still support them where I'm at. I still call them, I still get on coaching calls with them, and help them with whatever they need.
So how did you come across Whissel and decide on it? Was it just one and done? You met with Kyle and it was cool, this is what I want? Or did you interview other people? How did you find yourself at Whissel?
I did a lot of research. Nobody recruited me to EXP. I recruited myself. So I saw big names of people that I had already been following in the industry moving to EXP, and I didn't really know what it was. I'm EX what, So I was there's something there, and I got to figure this out. What is it? And I saw Kyle speak on stage at a Tom Ferry, and it was interesting. He was in Las Vegas. He's got the big margarita in his hand, and I'm I'm going to talk to that guy when I get to San Diego. So I literally did.
So you were already plugged into the Tom Ferry organization?
Yes, I had Tom Ferry coaching before. It was in the desert. There was no teams. There was no support. There was no mentors or coaches. So I was Googling how to be a rock star agent, and figuring it out. And I came across Tom Ferry, and I was like, okay, coaching, I'm going to do that. I was the first person that I know of in the entire area to have a transaction coordinator. They were like, oh, what?
You don't do your own paperwork?
This is high desert, right? Where
Yeah,
you were?
the high desert.
And so there can't be as high volume in general, like a transaction count for all agents in that area, right? It's got to be fewer deals.
It's not necessarily true because the price point's so much less.
So people are moving and...
Yeah, I mean, there's some people doing a higher volume and then some not, like anywhere. But I know a gal who was doing more deals than me, and she doing all the paperwork herself to this day. So
why? It just doesn't want to let it go?
Yeah, it's just that control. And then it's old school. You've been doing this forever. Why are you going to give someone else your paperwork and expect them to keep compliant? But so I saw Kyle. I Instagram messaged him and said, hey, I think I'm going to move to San Diego. Can I meet up with you? And we did, and it was interesting. It was different. It was very different. And he's telling me about team splits, and I'm like, oh my God, I've never heard of this before in my life. But I saw the value there. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I told him I might be here a year, and then I'll go on my own. And the cool thing about the culture here is that was okay, because I've left brokerages before, and you pretty much get blacklisted, and nobody ever talks to you again.
Yeah.
But here the support is still there. I could still call Kyle right now, and I do, and I see him and get support from him, even though I'm no longer on the team.
I know. I remember when I joined the team, or it was just Whissel. It was an independent brokerage at the time. And it was a very big decision, because I was letting go of independence as a broker. I had my own storefront shingle and everything, and it was just such a hard year transitioning out of foreclosure sales and into traditional real estate, that I was like, I got to not just be on my own anymore.
Island.
Because I had these accounts and I was just rolling, but then as that dried up, like the transition was no fun for me. And I was kind of it was a big decision for me. I'd been on my own for a long time, and the only other company I'd ever been with was another small boutique. And so I was just kind of like belaboring the decision, talking to him, and he's like, I don't expect you to be with me forever.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like very honest. He's like, it'd be great if you stuck with the company, but like a lot of people come and go. Right. So he was kind of just like, relax type of thing.
Which is super cool.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't expect that. And I've had a lot different experiences in the past. So we kept talking, and I kept visiting, and then finally I moved, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it.
So started on the team January 2020. COVID hits, of course, but you still had a pretty good year, 2020, right?
I had a fantastic year.
Yeah. What did that look like?
I think I made more money than I had ever previously in the 10 years in my first year here.
And paying a team split.
Yeah.
So it's not this big scary thing that everybody's like, oh,
but it was worth it, right?
People major in the minors.
Yeah.
Something we had Mark Pattison on a couple weeks ago, and something I told him was like, when's the last time you took a percentage to the bank? You take dollars. Who cares? Like, if you're gonna make more money, you're gonna make more money. So it's a testament. So 2020, you said you think your best year?
It was up to that point.
And then 2021, you grew again. Yep. How long? I can't remember. You were on the team for a little over a year, 2 years.
It was about a year and a half, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And then kind of got comfortable with.
It was time for me to pivot. Yeah.
And starting up your own thing. So tell me the transition from single agent, you went single agent on a team, crushing it, and then was it scary to go start your own team? Like, what were you thinking? What were your thoughts?
I wasn't scared. I was probably overconfident, actually. I was like, I could do this, right? Yeah. And I had a lot of agents wanting to join with me, so I spent a good year working on that, and I actually decided to cut back on the team structure. It just wasn't working for me. There's a lot about having a team between 10 and 50 agents, right? Because there's a part there where it is a lot of work and not very profitable. We have to get to a certain point where you got systems dialed in and it's very profitable, right? In order to keep growing. And for me, I was like, this isn't working as far as where I'm putting my time best, and then financially. And so I placed a lot of my agents on some other teams. I kept some who were more independent. And then I just started to recruit agents and put them where their best fit is, where somebody else can serve them better than I could, because I'm still selling real estate. So it wasn't, I couldn't just babysit all the time. And so, but it was a great experience, and I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I could say, like, I did that, and I tried it. But in the long run, that just wasn't going to be the right fit for me.
I had a similar experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent some time with the thought that I was going to be a small, like, lean and mean team within our bigger team. And I trained some folks up, and, you know, I didn't have a ton of people, but I poured a lot into a few and got nothing.
Yes,
I
I
was
know.
like,
I know.
I'm going to go in a different direction.
Yes. Yeah, you really learn, because you're everyone's not you. Right? And you go, wow, I just gave you my whole playbook, and this is how you do it if you want to do what I do. And they don't, and it's just because they're in different places, and they're not in my brain or in your brain, right? And then they leave too, right? And you're like, oh wow, I just spent all this time nurturing this person, and it didn't work out the way I thought. Right. So now I like to coach and mentor from a different position, where, hey, if you want to be with me and mentor and coach with me, then you're going to be responsible to get on this call with me and then do what I tell you. But if they don't, it's not as big of a burden on me.
Right. You're not necessarily as financially tied to them of paying for their CRM and their signs and their lead gen and all this stuff, like stroking a check. I'm sure the first couple months where you were like,
oh yeah,
putting the credit card.
A lot of money.
I'm not seeing this come back. So it's interesting to hear that, because there's so many people that I've met that like come onto the team and they're there for 6 months and they're brand new. I'm going to start a team, and I'm just like, all right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll see you working at Target.
Right.
Soon. Like it's not gonna happen. So you caught that quick and said, this just ain't for me. I'm sure I could do it, but it's gonna make me pull my hair out. Like
and that would have to be a long vision. Okay, I'm gonna put a lot of time and money into this because I'm gonna build, 100-person team.
A sober view of what the finished product looks like and how all that goes into that.
Right. And I'm like, I don't want to spend another 5 or 10 years doing that.
Building something like that.
No.
And people don't know this. Real estate team leads and even small independent brokerages have, for the most part, lose money.
Yes.
And if they do have profit, the margins are so slim that, and the overhead is enormous. Like, these are just facts.
100%.
And it's not just the huge teams that have crazy overhead like this.
A team of 10 or 20.
No, a team of 5.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a lot of those people right now, because a lot of us just had the worst year of our lives this last year, and those independent brokerages or small teams aren't profitable whatsoever. And they're like, nobody's selling houses, and I'm spending all the money, and I have this office and all of this, and now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So that's something too to project. Like, you might be having this great year, and then the next year is crap. Then what do you have to be prepared for that?
Yeah, that happened to us. I mean, we can be totally transparent. It wasn't like life or death. We can't pay the bills, but we came off of the best year we ever had, and then did 60% of that the next year.
Exactly.
So your mentoring has shifted. So now what does that look like for someone to come and say, hey, DeAnn, like someone you put on our team that we're heavily involved with, Ian, what's that look like with your training to them? What are you telling them, like, this is how you're going to hit the ground running, this is what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to put you on this team. I see you all the time in our Facebook group, hey, I've got a new agent in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yep.
Who wants them?
Right.
You, I'm sure, vet that team before you just put them off the wild, but kind of tell us what that looks like, right?
Well, I have people come to me within EXP, company, and not within the company, and I coach both of those sets of people. So I want to see where they're at, which is like our discovery call. Where are you at, and what are you trying to do? Brand new agent. I want to sell. I have a part-time job and I want to sell 4 houses. Well, it's going to be really hard for you to join a team because nobody's going to want to pour into somebody who's doing that little production. So I have to, depending on where they're at, they need a local mentor. They need somebody who can work with them where they're not going to be as consistent, right? And then I always offer a weekly coaching session to them if they're in my organization. Get on a Zoom 30 minutes a week and coach them to whatever they want. So like we were talking earlier about open houses, if they're a new agent, right? Then here's my whole system, and let's get on and see if you're really, you want to sell how many houses and do how many open houses. Let's make sure you're doing that. So I put together a plan for them and then see if they're following it. And it's great because there's people who take off and kick ass, and then there's those who don't do it, just like anything else. Right?
So you're tailoring it to each person. You're not just like, hey,
here's my coaching
you're going to
program.
start opening houses this time.
No.
Which is, I'm sure you see the most success because of that. Because
Yes.
there's some people like for me, I don't want to do open houses. I would much rather sit on the phone or
Call,
go to
right?
I'd rather do that. So boilerplate though.
Yeah.
What are the like 4 pillars that you're looking for to like, all right, this is the one you need to attack. What for a new agent? What are those 4 things? Like door knocking. What do you think those are?
Well, the number one is open houses because it's easy and you're going to get a lot of experience talking to people. You're going to be face-to-face to people. It's great for your social media content. You're showing that you're in the world of real estate, right? You're actually working. No matter how hard you're working, it looks great for you. And so there's a lot of things that open houses cover. But I encourage your sphere because that is the number one converting pillar in all of business. And then when people say, well, I don't have a big sphere, or, my friends are younger, or whatever, it doesn't matter. You need a system. You need a system around that. And they go, oh, yeah, I talked to my aunt, and, she doesn't want to sell. I'm like, no, you need a system where you're actually putting those people in your CRM, and now you're calling them consistently, and this is what you say, and this is what you're going to mail. So there's a lot to work in your sphere that isn't just, I'm going to talk to people I know, right? And I believe in cold calling. I love cold calling. I cold call still every day. And I think it's a low-hanging fruit. And if you can handle calling FSBOs and expireds, it's fast, but you have to get really good at it. And circle dialing is just an easy way for new agents to get on the phone and talk to people because those people aren't mad at you. They'll answer your questions. They'll tell you what's going on in their neighborhood. They'll tell you about their house. And so they're not hostile. So I really encourage people to spend time on the phone circle prospecting. But like I said, depending on where someone's at in their business and what they want to do, I'm okay, what do you want to do? Because it all works. You just need a system and you need to work it.
So primarily sphere, cold calling, opens.
Door knocking.
Door knocking too.
Yeah, because it goes with open houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes with circle prospecting. You can go and knock those people too.
I think those are the shortest ways to a paycheck for someone who's new too.
Yeah. Yeah, you talk about your first 90 days. I try to tell people too that your first 90 days you need to think about those three things, right? What's going to get you a deal right away in those 90 days? And then we can talk about what you want to do midterm. I want to work on my social media or whatever. And then what's your long-term goal look like? And all that stuff should be here in your plan, but you need to get a paycheck right now. So you can do all that stuff later.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Social media is not going to turn you a lead over.
And you would be so surprised at how many people, when I ask them what they want to do, and they say social media.
Yeah. And it's like, cool, you want to make 10 reels a day for 20 days?
Exactly. Because that's what it's going to take.
Social media? Or do you just like the idea of doing that instead of having to talk to someone on the phone?
Yes.
Because we can make a plan around social media.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Which, and a lot of people get an evolution of that. Like, you are strong on socials. Obviously, I'm going to assume most of your social transactions are bringing people to EXP. Are people reaching out often to you just because of your social media?
All the time.
Yeah, so she does
all the time.
Great social media. Of course, go follow her. It's at DeAnn.Dillard Real Estate.
DeAnnDillard.Real Estate.
Close. Give her a follow. She is super active on there.
We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah.
We'll put it up there for you. So those are the things you need to get now money.
Great.
Now, what about when people transition to, okay, they've got their open houses down. They've got their transaction count is up. They're doing their 12, 15, 20 deals. And now they do want to start pouring into other agents. That's why I was excited to have you on, is because that's like what you love to do. You have this like mothering nature about you that's like, I want to see these people succeed. Give us some tips on like how to help these people, how to mentor other people once you get your footing and you know what you're doing.
Sure. Well, first of all, where are those people going to come from that you're going to mentor, right? So I get people reach out to me on social media all the time, and that's because for a long, long time I've been giving value through my content on social media. And then I call people all the time, right? I cold call agents and see where they're at and see what they need. Yeah, and then I'm in a lot of groups. So I've had a couple people reach out to me actually this last week in just some networking groups and different coaching groups off of the group saying, hey, I really love what you said today. Can we get on a call with you, right? And that happens all the time. But that's because I'm trying to always provide value no matter what, right? I'm not out there. I see these coaches all the time, coaches on Instagram, I'm sure you guys do, and it's like a girl in her 20s, and she has her coaching program, and she's been selling real estate for 3 years, and I'm like, what? How are you coaching these people, right?
And it's $10,000 worth of value for $49.
Yeah, yes.
And pay me, and that's it. And
all day long. And I haven't went that route, not to say that might not be something in the future. All I've done is just, here's what we learned on our Monday morning mastermind, right? That stuff is gold. And people have said to me, I love that you're always out there trying to help other people. So then they organically are starting to reach back to me. So I think without starting with a coaching program to sell in the first place, just trying to help people has kind of just organically grown.
Come from contribution,
Absolutely.
like it'll eventually come back to you.
Yes.
In some way. So you've got these people coming in. Now, for somebody that wants to start like you, what do I teach them? Like, how do I pour into them effectively? You were saying you have to tailor it to people, but how's your accountability? How are you going to keep them accountable? Like, tell us, you said you have an offer for a coaching call once a week.
Yep.
What are you going over in that? Like, what kind of marketing material are you giving them?
Yep.
What do you make them do on their own? What can somebody learn in that aspect?
So there's a lot there. Like I said, if they're in the beginning, and we're going to just start from the beginning and see what they want to do. I got on a call with a gal this week, and she wants help with agent attraction. She wants to mentor and coach other agents. And we literally had a 15-minute call. I probably told her 2 or 3 things, and her mind was blown. She was like, I didn't even know I could do that. I'm like, yeah, it's really simple. Just do 1, 2, 3. And she's like, okay, I want to do coaching with you. So I have another lady who's been in business for a really long time in Florida, and she's not in my organization, but I'm coaching her, and she's getting ready to move to a new market with her husband. They're getting close to retirement age, but she still wants to build her business, and she's starting over. And she's older than me. So we're going community route, right? You're gonna be the community lady. Here's how to start your own Facebook group. Here's how to have events in the community. And so it literally is just...
Is she starting in production again, or is she just focused on agent attraction?
This other lady's production.
Okay.
So one gal agent attraction, one gal production. So it's just where they're at, and then I keep them accountable. We have a weekly meeting that I'll schedule on the calendar, 30 minutes a week, and it's a recurring meeting, and people do cancel. And I'm like, hey, text me every morning and tell me if you did the things that
Wait, it's one-on-one, it's not group?
Yeah, one-on-one coaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're committed to like helping these people get further.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting a group coaching call, but I want these people to know that, hey, I'm here for you. If you're going to do this, if you want to build something, I'll tell you how to do it. You just need to do it. So whatever it is, if you want to build an organization, if you want to be the number one in the community, if you want to be open house queen, I've done it all, but you have to become an expert at one thing and then move on to the next thing.
Before you start trying to pile it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to do everything shit if you don't.
100%. I see it all the time.
Well,
I want to do my social media, and I'm doing open houses, and, and I'm doing my sphere, and I'm going to community events. I'm like, you can't do all that.
Yeah.
Be an expert at one thing and then start to move into the other. And some people run with it and some people don't. I find people who have to pay money or do a lot more than people who get you for free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you just learn how bad they want it.
Yeah.
Like they're either going to do the work and they're going to buckle down and they're going to do even more than you expected,
Yes.
or they're not going to do any of it and they were just kind of interested in the idea but not committed
Yes.
to it.
Yeah, and when I get somebody who's kind of not doing it or not showing, I'll just say, here's my calendar. You book me when you're ready, right? Because I'm not blocking this off on my calendar every week.
I'm not going to chase you.
No, I do not chase.
Yeah.
I'll encourage you and I'll hold you accountable to what you said until you're not doing it anymore. Then I'm saying, hit me up when you're ready.
All right.
what is it? Tell us how that's translated for you. Like, obviously, we are with a brokerage that incentivizes helping other people. What does your organization look like right now? Is it something that you're like, yeah, cool, I can, fill up my car with gas, like, it's cool, it makes the car payment, or is it, are you crushing it? What does it look like?
It's paying the bills.
Paying the bills.
It's paying the bills, yeah, which is just a ridiculous...
In North County, San Diego.
Thank you.
Which is not cheap.
Yeah, I'm not in Arkansas. And it's just, it gives me the ability to do other things, right? That I know that it is paying the bills. And it's fun.
Like jet set with Bill all the time?
Yeah, well, Bill helps jet set too.
So how many people are in your organization? Like, in total right now?
I have 35 now.
35?
Yeah, and I've had more. I've had a lot more.
Got it.
If you guys have been doing this for a while, you know about attrition. And I've had a ton, and then teams leave, and it goes back and forth. But I 100% believe in it for the long term.
So just 35 people.
Yeah.
And now, it sounds like these people obviously are kind of the ones that stick around, are qualifying, selling homes. That pays your bills. Yeah,
and if you're going to build an organization like that, you really need to think about a few things. I made some mistakes up front that I will share. I had a lot of success right out the bat, and a lot of people joined. It was just cool, and I poured into a lot of people more time than I should have, and then people leave. And usually people leave who aren't producing, and pouring into people who aren't doing the work and aren't producing, or who are new and not willing to hustle, it is a huge time suck, right? A huge time suck.
And it's draining for you because you're like,
draining.
You're like, you don't realize how valuable my time is.
I make a lot of money an hour.
To you. Yeah. Like, for me to block an hour and give it to you is a big deal. And if you're going to blow it.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And then they leave, and your numbers just, right? I've seen it go up and down. But because I've done all that, I've learned so much. I really have a good system right now. I know who I'm looking for. I know what type of production they need to do in order to fit in my system, or that they want to do. And I still help lots and lots of new agents. So like I said, I'll plug them in somewhere else with somebody to get them going real quick. So I have it down a lot more. I'm adding about an agent a week right now.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thanks. And that was my goal first of the year.
Because eventually, we haven't gotten to that number yet, but we've heard that eventually it starts growing.
Compounding.
And it gets a life of its own.
It does.
Right?
And we have just started seeing it. I'm just thinking about you saying, like, you're pouring all this time into agents that aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what if I didn't pour the time into Adrian, who is crushing it?
Fantastic.
Like, what if I missed pouring the time? Luckily, I did. And, like, we're seeing every once in a while, I'll log in. It's like, oh, Adrian brought somebody else new.
Yes.
In. Like,
I have agents
I don't have
doing
to think
that
about
too.
it.
Yeah.
And it's so being selective with who you want to come on.
Yeah, first of all.
Helping you pour into them the right amount so that you see the fruits of your labor. Like, one agent a week, that is going to blow up. If you get one person.
Insane.
Yes. And I have a full pipeline right now, a pretty full pipeline.
Right. You only need a couple of people to really make it massive. Like, I think Kyle has actually signed like 60 people, and his organization is 5,000 deep.
Yeah, I know.
So you just need those couple of people.
You do.
How are you approaching, are you approaching teams that you want to pour into? Are you just going after single agents, or are you going after teams as well?
I'm doing a mix of everything.
Okay.
I have strategic reasons for that. But it's yes on teams. Right now, because of what we were talking about earlier and how rough this last year was, those independent brokerages or team leaders, they're not profitable.
They're probably ripe.
They are so ripe right now. I think we brought like in 1,400 independent brokers last year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. And they need us. They need the support. They're tired of doing all the training. They're spending all the money, right?
They have the liability.
They have all the liability. they can't sleep at night. I mean, I know exactly what their pain points are. And when all you need is a conversation with somebody to say, hey, is it what you thought it was? Are you getting what you need?
That was a big motivator for Kyle. He was already running a big team, but he was dealing with lawsuits more than he was dealing with anything else.
That's the worst thing ever.
He's, as the broker owner, he's the bottom line. The buck stops with him.
Right. Nobody can sleep at night with all that going on.
Even for people that weren't the broker and are just agents, we got this disgruntled buyer on one of our listings that sent us a lawsuit, and I mean, we essentially just went, hey, HP, like, they've got lawyers on staff, like, go take care of this. And it was a few months and taken care of. We didn't have to
had some
really
of
do
those
anything.
things, and it's literally, here you go, and they have it all taken in place. And so what independent brokerage who, number one, isn't making a lot of money, who's spending a lot of time hand-holding and taking on all the liability, wouldn't look at this opportunity. The only reason is ego. When you come into ego and somebody says, well, I built this. Well, cool. Come over here and build it again.
Keep building it.
Build
keep
your brand, right?
Keep your brand.
Yeah, keep your brand, make more money, and take all that stress and pressure off of you. So I'm actually, if you're having just a conversation with people, I'm actually finding people going, okay, I'll take a look at that. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Why wouldn't they? If they're smart business people, they're going to.
And it sounds like you're no pressure sales. Like, hey,
no.
This might not be the right thing for you. Take a look at it. Like, you're never going to make an educated decision without getting educated.
Right. And if they're smart business people, that's what I'll say. Well, you're a business-minded person, right? So, I mean, I don't ever want you to do anything you don't want to do, but don't you want to know what you're saying no to? And
because they think they know.
They think they know.
Yeah.
But you know what everybody says is they wish they only did it sooner. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it could be that one person that's going to change your life. And you're going to change their life.
Come on, Adrian. Get to it. Stop selling homes.
Right?
Start recruiting more people.
Well, that's something to talk about because you can cut back on your production and do this part of the time and make the same amount of money and have a lot less stress, right? Do you want to sell 50 houses next year? We're all going to say, yeah, that'd be cool. But in reality, if you're looking at the long term, you're going to have a lot more peace and a lot more sustainability if you just combine both.
That transition is tough, though, because for someone, especially if there's no second income, and you're relying on a certain level of production, and you can't really do much else because that production is taking up all your time and energy.
I know.
How do you back off on that, still live, focus on this that's not going to really pay off for a longer period of time? It's a hard line to walk, and frankly, that's one I've been dealing with.
Yeah, and I've dealt with it myself. It's like how much can I scale back to spend time with this, and that's kind of what I've done. Is like, what do I have to have? How much money do I have to pay the bills, right? And how much do I have in the bank to pay the bills if something happens, so I can focus on this? And it is super hard. It's extremely tough, but I'm working on that long-term goal. Yeah.
Eyes on the prize.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we were talking a couple weeks ago, you're adding one more layer to your business, and it's something that Bill does a lot of, which is construction. So you are adding renovations to your business, which is something we actually have our first project going on right now as well for.
Together?
Yeah. So
just your project?
Well, we're helping a client flip their home prior to sale.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're renovating it for them.
Great.
They're going to make an additional $80,000 or so and not do anything.
I love
It'll
it.
be easier to sell.
So no money out of pocket of their own. Don't have to talk to the contractor. We're running everything for them.
Great. Yeah.
So
that's smart.
And we're gonna get paid nicely too.
Yep. We get paid. So we get paid for our service. We realistically will make more on this deal renovating it for them than we would just selling it.
Yeah.
So tell us about that layer. You are looking to do flips. What does that look like for you? What is your goal with it? What's your success so far? What are your hurdles? Like?
Sure. So it's mostly Bill's project, but I get to be the real estate agent, right?
Perfect.
And we love real estate, so this is what we do for fun. This is what we talk about all the time. So he's so super smart. He's been building for 30 years.
He primarily restaurants, to my knowledge, right?
Restaurants,
that's his bread and
banks, commercial, big projects. Every time we go somewhere in San Diego, he's like, "Oh, I built that restaurant." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't know that." So super talented. So he sold his business a couple years ago. And then just was like, hey, what am I going to do? And what he really wanted to do was develop. So he's taken either single families that have room for ADU or that are zoned R2 and mostly duplexes and then turning those into fourplexes. So he's adding units and then he's turning around and selling those to investors who just want a ready product. So the genius of this is it's not a saturated flip market. Nobody's doing this that I know of, and we're in a lot of circles. This is super value add because investors are still out there looking for a place to put their money, and couple duplexes, and he can do it like that where he adds more units. And
certainly depending on which city he's in.
100%. Which he knows all of those guys out there.
In the county of San Diego, you've got the city of San Diego, and then you've got a handful of other cities that are in the county, and those other cities are usually easier to work with than
he does not work in San Diego. No,
I've heard it's the most difficult paperwork and most expensive city in the country to build and develop in. San Diego.
Wow, that's
bullshit.
Nuts. Right?
Bullshit.
Why is that? But he's been doing it so long.
If you're in Carlsbad.
Yeah, he knows the building departments that work well. He's got it all wired in. So that's great. So I'll find a property and off market or on market and say, hey, what do you think about this one? I know what his model is. I know what he's looking for. And then he's like, yep, let's go. That's the one. Write an offer. He's actually also has a capital company. So he's raising capital. He's got investors. And so he goes back to these guys and say, hey, this is what the project is. You want in on this? And then it's just a matchup, and we get it closed quick, and then he starts working on it. He's already got the whole plan and the schedule laid out before we even close. Yeah, and then turn around and list it. It's a great deal, right?
How's the success been with that? Like, when did you guys decide? You said he sold his company a couple years ago?
He sold it like in 2020, in 2019 maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you guys start deciding, like, all right, let's do value add? In Southern California, finding something to just build is
not
impossible almost.
Right.
So finding how you can utilize the land is brilliant. How's the success been? Like, what do you think your goal is for that? Are you going to continue pursuing that as your main real estate side of it? What's it look like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So he was researching and talking to people for probably a good year before he started doing that. And then he finally bought his first property maybe 2 years ago. And it was a great learning experience on all ends. And then it was very successful, turn around and sell it. But he kept hearing, there's just no properties out there. There's nothing available for this kind of thing, Bill, to the people he was talking to. And I'm like, BS, it's out there. People are doing it all the time, so it just took a little more work and creativity to find those properties and
get really good with your title knowledge.
Yeah.
And what can we do on this piece of land?
Exactly. Yeah. And he gets right in there to the building department before the offer's in and says, okay, tell me everything, right? Yeah. You get it dialed in. So he's been doing a couple projects. He's got a couple going right now. We're supposed to close on one today. And for me, my part in it, being able to find those properties and relist those properties, that makes me be able to transition from other ways of getting business, right, and spend a lot more money helping agents, more time and helping agents, right?
Because if you can do some, a decent amount of projects just with Bill, then you don't have to focus on traditional buyers and sellers as
100%.
much, and it frees up more time for mentoring and coaching.
Exactly.
And it's essentially you're getting at least 2 transactions of it. You're getting a buy side on an on market, potentially double ending that. You're getting to sell it for Bill. He's probably a little easier to work with than some other sellers or buyers.
Well, I don't know.
Well, at least you can at home be like, hey, shut up, sign this paperwork, do it.
Just do this.
So has that? So it sounds like it's been successful. Like that's.
It is. It's going in a great direction, and he's got a vision. He wants to do, I think he said 6 or 7 this year. at least. He wants to get to the point where he's going to do one a month because he's really good with his scheduling. And so it's fantastic. It's fantastic for him. It's fantastic for me.
Yeah, there's a million agents out there that would love to do 10 to 12 to 14 high-end deals and be done for the year.
That's it, right?
And that's just one part of what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. And so it works out perfect. I still have a great agent-to-agent referral network, so that provides me deals. So I'm not having to chase things, right, where I can build out another
Was that
part.
organic, or did you put a lot of effort into building?
I put a lot of effort into that.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, when I moved here and everything happened, right, I still had a great first year and all of that, but things got weird, and I was new to the area. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to build something that will sustain? And so I started to reach out to agents all over the country, whether they were with our company or not with our company, and say, hey, you want to be referral partners? Because move up, move down buyers is no longer a norm. But move out, move in buyers.
During COVID.
During COVID, right now with interest rates, it doesn't. If you have to move because of a job or a death or something, it still happens. Whereas if you're don't have these emergencies when the interest rates are high, they're not going to leave it at 2%, right? So my brain's going, well, this is what's going on right here. So I created a couple great networks of agents all over the country where we're supporting each other and sharing those referrals. So it comes a lot easier than your door knocking or your open house. So you're building a business from the beginning, cold calling and all that. So it was just a no-brainer to me, actually.
I would much rather give you a cut across the country than Zillow or Redfin.
100%. And then I know that this one's gonna close a lot more than I know that Zillow deal is gonna close.
Because they're talking to a Redfin agent and homes.com and
everybody.
Yeah, this is one.
And they're not showing up and all of this. So it's been fantastic. That sustained me last year when everybody else was going, there's no deals, there's no.
For you?
But I was like, people are still moving in and out of California. So how
robust? Like how many agents are in this network, and like how many states are covered? Like, are you strategic with which states have the highest percentage of move in, move out? From San Diego.
Yeah. So I'm in a couple groups, and there's probably, I'm going to say 30 agents all around, 30, 40-ish. People come and go. And I helped build a couple of these groups. I had built one my own and then kind of partnered with some other people who already had it going a little further, and they approached me. And there are strategically helping people where there's a lot of moving in and out, Texas, Florida, Idaho. But we won't single out somebody who doesn't have that because, hey, I'll sell something in Nebraska or send someone to Nebraska, you never know. But yeah, it was just when early on I just thought, hey, this has got to work, and talking to people and going to all the events that we go to and meeting people is really how it started.
Yeah, you're very strategic with how you spend your time at the big conferences, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason we're going there. Yeah, it's not just to have those drinks by the bar, but that's fun too.
Yeah, not this year. I drank 3 drinks the whole time we were in Vegas, I think.
I don't believe it.
Because the year prior was rough.
I have a video of you drinking tequila out of a bottle in Cabo.
Was in Cabo. Yeah, exactly. That was in Cabo. Yeah. Different story.
And Bill, too. I think he was after you.
Probably.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So it sounds like just the connections you make with people is how you essentially make your money. You are great at talking to people and figuring out how not only you can better their business, but they're going to better yours. That's kind of what it boils down to.
Yeah, I'm going to share something really quick with you. Before I came here, I had a coffee with an agent that I had actually cold called a couple weeks ago. And he had taken a big dip in his production, and I noticed that and said, hey, what's happening? And he's like, well, I've been doing this for a really long time, for 20 years, and I just take deals that I get, and I'm pivoting to this type of other business, and he was really great. We had a great rapport. He's like, so I'm not your candidate of who you're calling. And I'm like, well, hey, I think you are my candidate because, I really like your energy. And you think that all these agents that you talk to from your past, if you come across somebody who wants to make a move, would you send them my way? And he said, absolutely, I will send them your way because you asked. And people don't usually ask, right? So I'm like, awesome, let's get to a coffee. We got to a coffee, and we were just like this, back and forth. Our energy was great. How can I help you? How can I help you? And we were both talked about how it's all about relationships. Like, I don't know what this is going to benefit me, and he doesn't know if it's going to benefit him. But because I didn't just go, okay, bye, next, I said, like, hey, well, maybe there's a relationship here for us, right? Then, and then we had some couple ideas. He's like, we need to do a podcast together, and I think it's going to be a great long-term relationship. But it is all about not just what I can get from that next person, because you never know what's going to happen and where they're going to need some help or you're going to need some help, and you're going to call that person on the other side of the country that you met in Cabo, and they're going to help you out. So
I love that he said you asked.
Yes.
Because we were talking to Voltaire a couple weeks ago as well, and he said that he doesn't care who he's talking to. He always asks, okay, please introduce me. He said he almost begs, please introduce me to somebody that might want to buy, sell, invest, whatever. And
that's great.
He did 67 deals last year when people were complaining.
Right.
And
in 2023.
That's amazing.
65 of
Not
them.
his team.
His
production.
personal production.
65 of them were referral.
Wow.
Personal referral.
Wow.
Just because he wasn't afraid to ask.
Right. Just make the ask.
I think that's one of the lessons for today. Also, like, be creative. Like, you're not doing just, I did 20 deals, can I do 30 this year? Okay, I did 30, can I do 40? Like, you're not just treadmilling it out. You're thinking creatively, you're bringing people into the brokerage, you're talking about investments and flips, but more not the typical flip. This is even a creative take on a flip. Like, you're doing things differently, like, kind of like we're talking about helping clients flip their property so they can make more money, and then we share in that profit. I think there's a lesson there that, like, obviously if you're new in the business, put your time in and don't start getting distracted trying to do lots of different things. But if you have the fundamentals down, if you're producing, like, you don't have to stay in that lane. Like, you can look up and think of something that's different that other people aren't doing.
Exactly.
Like you're talking about with land when you were new.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the theme I'm picking up from you today is, like, you're being very independent-minded, not just doing what everyone else is doing, and, like, trying to purposefully zag when other people are zigging.
You have to hyper pay attention to where the crowd is going, and where there's that little path that nobody's really doing.
Little contrarian thought process.
Yep.
I think that's kind of like a big lesson for folks to learn from this
I love that.
podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that I picked up on, and I'm like, I need to think that way a little bit more than I already am.
Right, because things get so saturated, and I just kept seeing this. Well, nobody's doing this, so I'm going to take all these land listings that are maybe
example too is another same thing.
Yes, exactly. I don't know why everyone's not tapping into this. I'm going to go tap into this.
Yeah.
So.
And furthermore, you're always looking for that other thing, because there will be a time where, all right, this thing that I used to do is like,
got saturated.
They caught on. Yeah, so
Always.
I'm continuing to grow, and it's very inspiring to think of all the missed opportunities of, like, oh, I could have done it. I could have, that was a good opportunity. I could have done that. Now it's gone.
Always, so we got to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah. This was great. If somebody wants to reach out to you to learn how to do an open house, social media, recruit, would you give them answers, or would you tell them no?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
absolutely. I get people my calendar link. I'm like, hey, I'll spend 15, 20, 30 minutes with you and see if there's something I can help you with.
So shameless plug. Give yourself, tell people how they can contact you, what they can look for.
Yeah.
And what's the best type of connection for you right now? What are you looking for?
Actually, you can contact me on my Instagram, DeAnn Dillard.realestate, and I'm just looking to talk to people and make relationships. My calendar link is in my bio, And I'm totally open to hopping on and sharing anything that I can, because people have done that for me all the time. And I'm always the one who will call that person that I don't know and say, hey, can you help me? You're really cool at this. And so now people are doing that with me. And yeah, I'm totally willing to give any help I can.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, DeAnn. We can't wait to continue doing these with you and just learning.
Fun. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.